every writer can relate to this. You get really excited by your story idea, you get midway through and you start to get stuck, and now you're trying to manufacture drama to keep the thing interesting. And now you move further and further away from what the thing is actually about.
You spent so much more time talking about kind of the internal workings of what's going on as opposed to the external workings. Can you expand on that a little bit, what your thought process is there?
I talk about story structure as an experiential model, not a conceptual model. Conceptual, let me put it this way. Einstein says you can't solve a problem at the same level of consciousness that created the problem. Every story begins with what appears to be a dramatic problem. And so, but the thing is, if you set out to solve your protagonist's dramatic problem, according to Einstein, you're going to get stuck. And I think every writer can relate to this, is that you get really excited by your story idea, you get midway through and you start to get stuck, and now you're trying to manufacture drama to keep the thing interesting. And now you move further and further away from what the thing is actually about. So I think this whole process is about staying connected to that thing, that sort of ineffable impulse. And I think the process is about doing two things simultaneously: making choices and holding them loosely. I always talk about what we're doing in the workshop is we're marrying the wildness of our imagination to the rigor of story structure. And the rigor of story structure isn't intellectual, it's an emotional rigor. And so that's why I've got the something I call the structure questions. They're not things to be answered, or I'm not asking you to do a beat sheet or plot it out. I'm saying let's look at story structure like in the same way Elizabeth Kubler-Ross wrote The Five Stages of Grief. She identified the five stages: anger, depression, denial, acceptance, bargaining, in no particular order. Well, in the same way, human beings always seem to go through a series of experiences that lead them to some kind of transformed state. And so by identifying those experiences, it liberates you from trying to figure out a plot, and it actually moves you beyond your idea of what you think your story is about. So I'll give you an example. If I were to distill story structure to three words, I would say it's desire, surrender, transformation. You have to if you don't have those three elements, there can't be a story. So desire, your protagonist has to want something. The stakes are life and death. If I don't get blank, my life will be unimaginable. I would say if Jan Brady doesn't get a date with Tad Hamilton, she will positively die. Right? Whatever it is, stakes are always life and death. My life will be unimaginable. And then surrender. At some point at the dark night of the soul, end of Act 2, your protagonist is going to let go of the meaning they made out of this goal. Oh my God, Tad Hamilton doesn't love me. My life is over. And it's only from confronting their wound, as you talk about, that a gift appears, and they reframe their relationship to this desire. So in spite of the fact that I think I'll die if Tad Hamilton doesn't take Jan Brady to the prom, she reframes her relationship, and what she's really seeking isn't Tad Hamilton, but it's acceptance. And so when she accepts herself, it becomes possible to be transformed, and she can go to the date with Tad Hamilton if Tad Hamilton belongs in her life. But what she really needs is to find the acceptance that was missing from the wound at the beginning of the story. So desire, surrender, transformation, that's the simplest way I can break down story structure.
I mean, that's so clean and so clear. I don't see how
Yeah.
anybody can't see that.